If you are a female runner over 45, I want you to stop thinking of running as just exercise for a second. Because running is not simply a way to burn calories, tick off a session, or prove that you are still fit. Running sends your body a signal. Every time you lace up and head out the door, your heart, lungs, muscles, bones, brain, hormones, and nervous system are all listening to that signal and trying to respond to it. That is what makes running so powerful, especially through perimenopause, menopause, and the years after. Your body is not just getting older in the background while running happens separately. Your body is constantly adapting to what you repeatedly ask of it. If you ask it to move regularly, it adapts. If you ask it to carry you further, it adapts. If you ask it to handle hills, impact, rhythm, breathing, fatigue, and recovery, it adapts. Here is the important part, and where many women over 45 get caught. Running changes the body in the direction of the signal you give it. If the signal is supported, recoverable, well-fueled, and consistent, running can help build a stronger, fitter, more resilient body. However, if the signal is always rushed, too hard, underfueled, layered on top of poor sleep, and never supported by strength training, your body still changes, just not always in the way you want. Today, we are going to look at how running completely changes the 45 plus female body. And I want you to stay with us because the final change is one that most women feel deeply, but don't know how to explain.
Let's start with the heart, because this is one of the clearest ways running changes the body. When you run, your heart has become better at moving blood around, and over time, regular aerobic training can help improve how efficiently the delivery system works. Think of your cardiovascular system like plumbing in a house. At first, the pipes are not very efficient because the pressure isn't great and everything feels like hard work. But as you train consistently, your body gets better at delivering oxygen-rich blood to the muscles that need it. That is why a pace that once felt hard can eventually feel manageable, not because running suddenly becomes effortless, but because your body has upgraded the system behind it. For female runners over 45, this matters because cardiovascular health becomes a bigger priority as you age, and running gives your heart and blood vessels a reason to stay useful, responsive, and efficient. But this is where people often misunderstand the message. You do not need every run to feel like a survival test for your heart to benefit. The most valuable cardiovascular work happens at easier efforts, where you are building the base without consistently emptying the tank. That is why easy running is not wasted running. It is not the boring bit before the real training. It is the foundation work, the renovation, the part where the body becomes better at doing the job without needing the drama every time. If you have ever gone through a phase where your breathing settles, your usual route feels calmer, and the first 10 minutes stop feeling like your body is filing a complaint, that is your cardiovascular system adapting.
While the heart is becoming a better pump, your muscles are changing too. And this is where running gets really interesting. Inside your muscles, running causes changes that help you use oxygen and fuel more efficiently. A simple way to picture this is to imagine your muscles as little energy factories. When you first start running, or when you come back after a break, those factories can feel a bit chaotic. The lights are flickering, someone has lost the instructions, and everything is taking far more effort than it should. But with consistent training, these factories get better at taking oxygen and fuel and turning them into movement. That is why your body can go from feeling like a 5K is a major expedition to eventually handling longer runs with more control. For female runners over 45, that is encouraging because it means your body is still trainable. You can still build endurance, improve efficiency, and teach your body to handle more work. There is a second part to the muscle story, and it's the part that runners often don't notice until it's too late. As women move through midlife, muscle mass and strength become things we need to maintain more deliberately. Running helps your endurance, but only running is not always enough to keep the strength and power your body needs. That is why some women say, I can keep going, but I feel heavy. Or, my breathing is okay, but my legs just have no spring. That is not always a fitness problem. Sometimes it's a strength problem. Running changes your muscles, but after 45, it works best when strength training is part of the routine too.
Now we need to talk about bones, because running sends a very specific message to your skeleton. Bones are living tissue. They respond to load, and running gives them the repeated weight-bearing impact, which is one of the reasons running can be valuable for women as they get older. This is important because bone health becomes a much bigger priority through perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. We need to be accurate here. Running is helpful, but it is not the whole story. Running loads the body in a repeated, straight line pattern. Your bones, joints, and connective tissue also benefit from different types of load, especially the kind you get from resistance training, where you are asking the body to manage force in different directions. So I would think of running as one deposit into your bone bank, while strength training makes a different kind of deposit. After 45, you want both. You want the impact and rhythm of running, but you also want the multi-directional load, muscle tension, and strength stimulus that comes from resistance training. This is especially important because if you are running and underfueling, sleeping badly, skipping strength, and treating recovery as optional, your body will not have the materials or the time to adapt properly. Running gives the body the message, but recovery and nutrition help your body answer that message. A run is like placing an order with the body. Recovery is the workshop where the order gets built. If the workshop has no time, no materials, and the lights keep going off because you slept terribly, the final product is not going to be what you hoped for.
This is exactly why we talk so much about running after 45 in a way that works with your body, not against it. Running can absolutely be part of a strong, healthy, confident life after 45. But if your training is leaving you constantly tired, sore, frustrated, or feeling like your body is fighting you, then the answer is not to run more or to push harder. In my Running Through Menopause masterclass, we go deeper into how to adjust your training, how strength fits in, how to think about recovery and pacing, and how to keep running well through perimenopause, menopause, and beyond. So if this is already making you think, I love running, but I need to understand what my body needs now, use the link in the description or the QR code to save your seat. This next change is one many women notice almost immediately, long before they notice fitness changes. The thing is, running changes your brain. And for many women, this is one of the reasons they keep coming back to it. You can leave the house irritated, stressed, flat, or convinced that everyone around you is breathing slightly too loudly. And then you come back 30 minutes later feeling like someone had turned the volume down inside of your head. Not every run does this, obviously. Some runs are just deeply average, and some feel like you're dragging a supermarket trolley with one wheel always going sideways. But many women know that running gives them space to process life. Physiologically, exercise is linked with mood, stress regulation, and brain health. People often talk about endorphins and that they are part of the story, but the runner's high is also linked to endocannabinoids, which may help explain that calmer, settled feeling some runners get after exercise. Even if we put the chemistry aside, there is something very human about running. You get outside, you breathe, you move forward, and for a little while, you're not answering emails, managing everyone's needs, thinking about dinner, or trying to remember which appointment you forgot to put into the calendar. For women over 45, that matters because this stage of life can feel very full. There can be work pressure, family pressure, aging parents, teenagers, changing hormones, changing bodies, and this mental load of being the person who somehow knows where everything is. Running can become one of the few places where you remember that you are still in there too. That is not a small change, that is a profound one.
Running also changes the way your body manages energy. When you run consistently, your body gets better at using fuel during exercise. It learns to store and use glycogen more efficiently. It becomes better at using fat as part of the endurance system, and it becomes more efficient at matching energy supply to the demand of the run. That is why endurance improves over time. But for female runners over 45, this benefit can get twisted into the wrong message. Some women hear that running changes energy use and think, great, I need to run more to control my weight. But running is not a magic eraser. It shouldn't be treated like one. Running can support the body composition, but it works best as part of a bigger system that includes strength training, daily movement, enough protein, enough overall fuel, recovery, and sleep. If stress is high, sleep is poor, strength training is missing, and every run is underfueled, the body will not respond the way you actually want it to. This is where running can shift from being something that builds you into something or into one that constantly takes from you. A better way to think about it is this. Running is one part of your body's energy system. It is not the entire support system. It cannot be the heart, the plumber, the electrician, the cleaner, the therapist, and the accountant all at once. Although some days it does feel like therapy. If you're asking running to do every job, it usually stops doing any one job particularly well.
Running also changes your relationship with discomfort, and this might be one of the most underrated changes of all. When you run, you practice being uncomfortable without panicking. You learn that breathing harder does not automatically mean danger. You learn that tired legs can keep moving. You learn that a hill can look absolutely rude from the bottom and still be manageable one step at a time. That kind of lesson does not stay within running alone. For women over 45, it can carry into the rest of life. You become the kind of person who has evidence that you can do hard things. Not motivational quote evidence, but actual Tuesday morning evidence. You went out when it was windy. You finished the session when your brain tried to negotiate. You came back after a bad week. You kept showing up in a season where your body felt different and unfamiliar. That changes how you see yourself. But there is a very important line here. Running should build resilience, not teach you to ignore every warning sign. There is a difference between effort and trouble. Effort is the burn of a hill, the heaviness near the end of a long run, or the mental negotiation of getting through the final few minutes. Trouble is the pain that changes your stride. It keeps appearing in the same place, gets worse as you run or lingers afterwards. One builds you, the other is asking for attention. The goal is not to become someone who ignores everything. The goal is to become someone who can read the difference.
Running can also affect sleep, although not always in the simple way people expect. Regular physical activity can support better sleep for many people, and some women find that running helps them feel more settled, fall asleep more easily, and manage stress better. But if you are in perimenopause or menopause and dealing with night sweats, hot flushes, insomnia, or that 3 a.m. brain festival where every thought arrives uninvited, sleep can become more complicated. So running can help, but it has to be well placed. A relaxed run supports sleep. A hard session too late in the day leaves some runners wired. Underfueling can affect sleep. Stress can affect sleep. Alcohol definitely affects sleep. Hot flushes can also affect sleep. So again, running is part of the picture, not the whole picture. Think of sleep as the repair workshop when your body processes the training you have done. If you send the car into the workshop, but the mechanics only get 20 minutes and half the tools are missing, the repair job is not going to be brilliant. That is what poor sleep can do to recovery. So yes, running can help change the body, but sleep helps decide how well those changes actually stick.
There is another change running can create that we do not talk about enough, and that is confidence in your body. Not confidence because your body looks a certain way, but confidence because your body can do things. That difference matters. For many women over 45, the conversation around body can become very negative. Weight changes, menopause symptoms, slower paces, different recovery, softer areas, clothing that fits differently, and suddenly the body starts to feel like a problem to solve. Running can shift that. You stop seeing your body only as something to judge, and you start seeing it as something that carries you. It carried you through that 5K. It got you up that hill. It handled that long run. It helped you clear your head when life felt too loud. That does not mean every run feels empowering. Some runs are very ordinary, and some feel like your legs have been replaced with furniture. But the bigger pattern matters. Running gives you evidence that your body is still capable of change. And that is a message a lot of women over 45 need to hear. Your body is not finished adapting. It is not closed for renovations. It just needs the right plans, the right materials, and enough recovery time so that the builders can actually do the work.
Now, we should talk about the immune system and inflammation in a sensible way, because this is where people can make running sound like magic. Regular, moderate exercise is associated with better overall health and immune function, but more is not always better. There is a sweet spot. If you run regularly, at a sensible intensity, recover well, eat enough, sleep enough, and build gradually, running can support the body in many positive ways. But if you are constantly underfueled, sleep deprived, stressed, and doing too much intensity, running can be another stressor layered on top of an already full system. Think of your body like a phone with too many apps open. Running can be one of the apps that makes the phone work better over time. But if everything is open, the battery's at 8%, and someone is still trying to download an update, something is going to get glitchy. That is why dose is important. Running changes the body, but the body still needs enough energy to respond well to that change. The goal is not maximum stress. The goal is the right stress followed by enough support.
Another thing running changes is your social body. And I know that sounds a little bit strange, but it matters. For a lot of women over 45, running becomes more than exercise because it gives you a connection. Making friends as an adult can be weird. You can't just walk up to someone in a supermarket and say, "Hello, would you like to become part of my emotional support system?" But on a run, it happens naturally. You chat side by side, you suffer up a hill together, you complain about the weather, race toilets, sports bras, watches, socks, and the universal betrayal of a route being hillier than advertised. That social side can change consistency, mood, motivation, and even identity. You're not just someone trying to fit training into a busy life. You become part of a community. You have people who notice when you don't show up, people who understand why a small running win matters, and people who don't think it's strange that you own more running shoes than normal shoes. For women navigating midlife, that sense of connection can be just as valuable as the fitness itself. It turns running from something you should do into something that belongs in your life.
So, if running changes the 45 plus female body, the most important thing to understand is that running is a signal. Every run tells the body what to become better at. Easy running tells the body to build endurance efficiently. Hills tell the body to produce force. Long runs tell the mind and body to persevere. Strength training tells the body to protect muscle and tolerate load. Recovery tells the body it is safe to adapt. But if the signal is confused, the result gets confused. If every run is medium hard, underfueled, rushed, and squeezed into a stressful week, the body won't hear get stronger, it'll hear survive. And surviving training is not the same as adapting to it. That distinction is critical for female runners over 45 because this is the stage where the body is still incredibly capable, but it often needs clear signals and better support. The heart can adapt, muscles can become more efficient, bones can respond to load, mood can improve, sleep can be supported, confidence can grow. But none of that happens because you punish the body into submission. It happens because you train it, fuel it, strengthen it, and give it enough time to respond.
So if you take one thing from this video, let it be this. Running can completely change the 45 plus female body, but it works best when you stop treating your body like a machine you can keep pushing and start treating it like a living system that responds to what you repeatedly ask of it. That is actually really good news because it means your body is still listening, it's still adapting, it's still capable of getting stronger, fitter, more resilient, and more confident. But the message has to be clear. Run easy enough to build the base. Run hard when there is a reason. Strength train so that your muscles and bones have support. Eat enough to give your body materials. Recover so the work can turn into progress. That is how running changes you in a way that lasts. But there is one change that running does not automatically fix. And if you ignore it, it can undo many of these benefits. Strength loss. So watch this video next because we are going to show you why female runners over 45 lose strength faster than they expect and how to rebuild it without spending hours in the gym.